I really liked it. I thought the intro was quite cool, how you had like the montage of the goals going in and the commentators shouting the players' names and stuff. And even though I didn't know the people getting interviewed, I actually found it quite interesting to see their views and opinions on their favourite parts of the Premier League.
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, the duration was pretty long, and there was enough information that was to get said, so it was really good.
I enjoyed the documentary. You had different ages on there, which gave a bit of an insight into favourite teams and the different players who they follow. The opinions of who's going to win the Premier League was interesting. I'm not quite sure when you filmed the documentary, but now obviously Man City have gone top, and all of them predicted Liverpool to go on and win the league. So it just shows you how funny the Premier League can be at times. But I enjoyed it. It was a good insight into people's opinions.
I thought it was interesting to see other people's views on the Premier League and kind of football overall. See everyone's different favorite football players, favorite teams. It was kind of interesting, you know. I always like hearing about that stuff, though. You know, it kind of makes it easier to hate them or like.
I really think that was very well made. I love the transitions and the sound music used in the documentary. Yeah.
I would say watching the highlights was a good one. You know, watching people, the Premier League is very fascinating. It's very entertaining. Watching the highlights of the goals and little clips of the players, like role models, players who I watch regularly week in, week out, was definitely one. And I think listening to the different ages, I think especially the young guys in there, Billy and the other lad, they spoke really well. They come across really well, and their opinions were good as well.
I think my favourite part would have to be the end when you saw the montage of champions and different team players and different teams in general.
Probably just seeing Manchester United clips throughout the documentary because I'm a Manchester United fan. But I did like the montage clips, as I said at the beginning, and throughout it, when the people are talking about their favourite moment, and then you've made the clip of that moment as they're talking about it. I thought that was quite cool.
My favourite part, maybe when people were naming their favourite goals, and then it would cut to like the goals and stuff, and you'd see like Paul's goals, yeah. So.
I think the 2004 and 2005 images of the championship.
Definitely improve on when you were doing the interview. It was really quiet, and I feel like you didn't add any sound because that's the way they do it in actual interviews for football interviews when they're interviewing different footballers. It's also the breaks. I know they're giving their opinion and they're really relaxed in their own comfort zone and stuff like that, but maybe edit it so that there aren't any breaks and put a minimum sound in, if that makes sense.
That's a good question. Maybe instead of having one person talking for 2 or 3 minutes at a time, you could have different people talking throughout the same clip, if you know what I mean. So you ask the question and then someone says the answer each time, someone different says the answer.
One thing I thought that was kind of weird was, and it was not throughout all of it, but it was one, we couldn't hear you when you were asking the questions, right? And that's fine, but then I thought it was really weird when, in between questions, there would be this weird pause, and they would kind of just look at you, because they were obviously looking at you off camera, but they would kind of look confused. It's kind of like the news, when it's kind of there's a little bit of a delay. So I thought maybe it would be better if you kind of just cut those little bits out and just cut straight to the chase, and then brought up the question. I thought that would be a little better, but other than that, pretty good.
I think the only thing that you can improve on is the transition and the music bending, because I saw some parts of the video that they were overlap of the sound.
Maybe some of the colouring and imagery, can be a little bit more kind of in tone for what you're doing. But in whole, I thought it was very solid.
The montages were well done. pretty much it was all good. The music was good. The music matched because sometimes it's hard to get matching music. You have to be really specific, know what you're picking. Maybe fade in, fade out was the only thing that could have been changed. But other than that, it was like pretty on point, pretty good.
The montage. The montage. What's about?
No, what do you think of them? Like, where all the images come up at the beginning and at the
I think they're really well picked. They represent the most iconic moments.
Yeah, they were good. I enjoyed them. I think they flowed. Again, like I said, maybe in terms of some of the colouring and kind of how it sinks in could have been a little bit better. But it's obviously you've put in a lot of effort into it, and that was evident. But yeah, I thought they were good.
Montages were great. To be honest, I don't know much about football, but when they score a goal, it's like, oh my god, they did it. Like, I understand that perspective. Like when they like get it in the goal, it's like, oh my gosh, I've done it. It's amazing. I'm great, and I won a trophy. So
I really liked them. I thought they were cool, man. It looked like an actual Sky Sports edit, like it's similar to how they do it.
The interviews for me, they seem very well made, very professional, and I like them.
Enjoyed the interviews. I think the questions were just about right. I think what you get with the football interviews, if you ask, obviously they were open-ended questions, which are good because it gives the guys an opportunity to express their beliefs and their opinions. I think they were just about right for what you wanted to get out there. Obviously we got out their favourite team, their opinion on the Premier League, their best highlights, their best players. So I thought they were good.
the interviews were good. I think the interviews were pretty standard.
Yeah, good questions. As I said, I didn't know the people, but I was quite interested to see what they thought and what their opinions were. So yeah, I like them.
The interviews were interesting. As I said, it was like interesting to see everyone's different views and everything. All the teams they support. Someone said Marcus Rashford's one of the best strikers. Yeah, no, he's not one of the best strikers. But yeah, it's what it is. I mean, it's just interesting to see other people's views. You get interesting views.
If I was going to pay, I'd want more in length. Obviously, the length was 10 minutes, roughly about 10 minutes. So I'd want more. If you was to do that over, let's say, a longer period of time, I would definitely pay money to watch it.
What would I pay? Good question. Probably, I don't know, not to sound harsh, but I don't know, like £5.
Ooh, well, considering I don't pay anything to watch Sky Sports at the moment because my dad pays for it, probably nothing, which sounds horrible, but you can access these things on YouTube and stuff, so yeah.
How much would I pay? I don't know, would I pay? I mean that like the nicest way. I mean, maybe if it's on Netflix or something, you pay like overall price, but I mean, does anyone pay for like separate documentaries, you can go on Discovery Channel and you get a bunch of documentaries free if you want. I was watching a World Cup football documentary. I mean, maybe if I was really interested in it, like, maybe charge like, I don't know, £1 or two maybe at a push. And it's not because it was bad, it was just because, we live in the 21st century, it's a little bit of a different time. But yeah.
Myself, I'll pay £10.